On behalf of the ENMU Department of Music, welcome to another outstanding musical performance. Your consideration for fellow patrons and performers by not causing any distraction that will disturb the atmosphere of the concert will ensure everyone's full enjoyment of the live performance. Should a young patron become unruly, please exit to the music building lobby as soon as possible. Please turn off all electronic devices at this time. Photography and videography are prohibited during performances. Photographs may be taken when the performance has concluded. Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Here we go. Up here. Cool. There we go. Nice. Cool. Thank you all for being here. I'm Boddy, and it's my pleasure to share this presentation with you all today. My goal is to walk you through my process of creating online content, and hopefully I can inspire others here to do the same if they're interested. Now, raise your hand if you've ever made a video in any capacity. Great. Most of you should have raised your hands because we take videos of our lives every day. Now, who here has made a video that is intended for an audience that's wider than family and friends? Nice. That is what we're going to be looking at today. Now, one of the questions I ask myself frequently is, what can I create that can fill in the gap? Now, what I mean by this is creating something that is in demand, but not already being made the way I want it. One of these thoughts came through watching jazz tutorial videos that seem to have skipped over teaching fundamentals and jumped right into the deep end. I personally thought back to a time where I didn't have the fundamentals learned and how much a YouTube channel dedicated to teaching jazz basics would help me. This is where I came up with the idea of my channel, Undergrad Jazz. We will be looking at this channel and a video I have created for it to show the process of content creation. The core of my project is that I have always had a love for creating, and although I'm not perfect at it, I find joy working through the process. Now let's take a look at my channel. Undergrad Jazz Academy is an online video academy that teaches jazz lessons to all. Its main goal currently is to provide resources for students as well as teachers to use in jazz study. The best part about the program being hosted on YouTube is that it is completely free to anyone with access to a smart device or a computer, as well as internet. Here's an example of what one of these videos looks like. Hey everybody, my name is Boddy, and this is Undergrad Jazz. Today, we are diving into learning the chords to Take the A Train on vibraphone. Now, Take the A Train is a standard jazz tune written in 1939 by Billy Strayhorn and was made popular by Duke Ellington Orchestra. Before we get started, there are two fundamental concepts we're going to need for this lesson. Firstly, we're going to need to understand what a chord is, and more importantly, chords with four voices. Second, we're going to need to be able to apply a 4-mallet grip to the vibraphone, whether that's Burton, Stevens, or traditional, it does not matter. Now, if you have these two things already, let's go ahead and jump into these chords. Let's talk about what a root position chord is. This is a classification for a chord that has the tonic, or the root, in the lowest position. For example, a C major triad, C, E, G, has C in the lowest position. Go ahead and print out or download the PDF from the description below, and let's get into playing some of these chords. The notation will also be on the screen. Make sure that you pause or slow down the video if you're having trouble so you can get these chords in your hands. Remember to be patient and give yourself time to let these chords sink in. Now remember, the trick to memorizing these positions is to be methodical and listen to how the chords function with the music. That being said, let's play Take the A Train root position chord now. we'll dig more into this video in a bit. So how did I create this channel? The first component to making this happen is creating video and audio. First, I used a microphone stand to hang a camera upside down to achieve the bird's eye view for the vibraphone playing. I then set up 2 microphones that recorded the audio of the vibraphone, kind of like this setup we see here. These microphones were plugged into an audio interface that was plugged into my computer. I won't go into the specifics of what an audio interface is, but just understand that it takes the audio being recorded from the vibraphone and translates it so that it is capable of being recorded onto my computer. To get the video of me speaking, I used my iPad as a camera in tandem with a Bluetooth microphone that recorded audio. The microphone is wireless and uses the same technology that your phone uses to connect to your car. This black box on my shirt up here is the microphone. The third piece to making the video and audio was downloading a backing track to accompany the vibraphone. I chose to use a backing track instead of a metronome because in addition to keeping the student in time, it also helps them learn the tune and learn the style. Let's take another look at this video with the context of how it was recorded. In this first part, analyze how the video and audio of the vibraphone work together with the backing track. Together to create these speaking portions. Before we get into first inversion chords, let me explain what those are. Now, a first inversion chord is when we take our second note of a chord and put that in our bass, in the lowest position of the chord. Now, don't get confused, the tonic hasn't changed. For example, in a C major triad, C, E, G, we're going to take the E and we're going to put it in the bottom. So now we have E, G, C. It's stacked differently, it's in a different position, but C is still our tonic. It's just not at the bottom of the chord. Now that a crucial component to this program is the access to free resources that accompany the video. This page here is an example of the downloadable PDF that students can use while participating in the lesson and personal practice afterwards. I was able to create this notation by using a notation software called Sibelius. To break down what a notation software does, it allows users to notate music digitally instead of using a pen and paper. I am very lucky to have had composition lessons that taught me the skills to create these resources and understand the theory behind them, specifically the voice leading section. My composition lessons also allowed me to further my learning of music theory, which made it much easier to teach and explain concepts of music in the video. While we are talking about the compositional elements of this process, this is a perfect time to feature some of the work that I have done over the past couple of years as a composition student. Here, we have an early work of mine that I wrote and recorded for Music Theory 3 in 2020. Not only did I write this song for theory class, but I also had the opportunity to record it for my technology class. This is a good example because I had a lot less equipment and a lot less experience then. But I was still creating. I played and recorded electronic drums, guitar, bass, and vocals for this song. Let's give a listen to this song. Let's give a listen to the few sections of this song.
funny because I've performed on this stage more times than I can count, but I don't think I've ever been as nervous or embarrassed as I am showcasing my original work. Let's go ahead and look at another composition of mine from more recently. This is an arrangement of a song called Face My Fears, and the arrangement is for a small jazz ensemble. I finalized this arrangement within the last year. Here's the intro section and the first verse. Here's the next section, which acts as a chorus. Here's the next verse, although it is changed up from the first verse. Here in the same section, we can see and hear the different instruments passing the same line off to each other. Finally, here's the outro section that features a saxophone solo and some interesting sliding. These two songs are examples of what I've worked on, but there is a good amount more. I'm appreciative that in my lessons I was granted the freedom to create different things and not discouraged from my ambitious thoughts. Rather, I was encouraged to create new things and delve into multiple genres that I was interested in. This screenshot here, for example, is a rock gospel style piece that I wrote. Dr. Del Porto and Dr. Aragon have been tremendously helpful in their collaborative efforts to push my brain towards new ideas, and I'm very grateful for that. If I hadn't been able to continue to hone my music theory skills and compositional skills, I wouldn't have been able to as easily execute portions of the video where I talk about music, and I was able to compose the voice leading portions of the video. Now let's get back to creating this video. Creating these resources gave me the opportunity to integrate the notation into the video, providing a play-along effect. This makes it more accessible to people who can't separately download the PDF because now they can just watch the video. I achieved this by screen recording Sibelius. What screen recording means is fairly self-explanatory. It is the act of recording a video of whatever is happening on the computer screen. In this case, Sibelius playing I wanted, and voila, play along. Having this knowledge, focus on this part of the screen of the video and how the music notation works on the screen. some type of editing software is required for this. For the past few years, I used to spend $20 a month to use Adobe's editing software, Premiere Pro, on my personal projects, but I was much too busy to get my money's worth for them. So I recently did some searching, and I found that the software DaVinci Resolve could accomplish the same things I needed for free. It was a worthwhile shift, and all the editing for this project was free. So here is DaVinci Resolve. Does anyone here feel overwhelmed looking at this? That's okay. I felt the same way. Let's zoom into the timeline. A timeline in literal terms is the place where it shows how much time each clip of media lasts. This is where a majority of my editing happens. The term clip refers to a piece of media within the timeline pertaining to either video or audio. If we take a look at the clips up here, circled in blue and yellow, those are our 2 video clips. And if we look at the ones circled in green, red, and purplish brown, it's kind of hard to see up here, those are our audio clips. The video in blue is the screen recording we talked about earlier, and the one in yellow is the video of the vibraphone. The audio clip in green is the audio from the camera that recorded the vibraphone, while the one in red is the audio of the microphones that recorded the vibraphone. And then finally, while the one in purple is our backing track. The reason I separately have them here is because I was able to take all 5 of these clips and save them as a single piece of media, making the final project timeline a lot cleaner. Here's our final project timeline. Circled in red, we have our speaking video and audio, and circled in green, we have the 5 clips from the previous slide condensed into 2. Just 1 video and 1 audio. This is the final product and what we have been viewing periodically. Now for the fun part. We're gonna make a video right now. All of us, I know, this is crazy. So first, we're gonna set up my iPad to record you all from over here. So don't do anything inappropriate. I'm looking at you, Wayne. And then over here on my computer, I'm gonna go ahead and set up an app called Photo Booth. It just allows me to take a video with my computer. I'm going to use this to record myself. Oh, dude, look, here I am. There he is. Look at him go. Let's see. Start the video. And then I'm going to have a volunteer. Let's see. Samantha, will you stand up? This is a very important part of the process. Samantha, you're going to give me your biggest clap that you have.
No.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Samantha. You can go ahead and sit down. Now what we're going to go ahead and do is, I'm going to count to 3, and on 3, we're all going to yell, "We love music." Is everyone ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. We love music! Beautiful. You guys are wonderful. You guys are professionals. In the business, we call those one-take Tonys. So, you guys are now one-take Tonys. Now I'm going to take the video from my iPad. I'm just going to send it to my computer. Real quick like. And then what we're going to do is we're going to open a project on DaVinci Resolve. We talked a bit about DaVinci Resolve. That's the video editing software I use. I'm going to create a new project right now. And I'm going to drag it over here so you guys can see, so we can all share in the glory and the fun. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my photo of me speaking and drag it into here. And then we're going to take the video of you all. It is currently preparing and getting ready to send. While we're waiting for that, we're going to go ahead and sorry, you guys can probably hear me double speaking right now. Oh, look, that's Samantha's clap. Great clap. We're going to go ahead and take this and we're going to move it into here while we're waiting for this. So, part of this is I took a video on my iPad and now I have to because it is transferring it over. It's probably what it's doing is compressing the video so it can be transferred over AirDrop. AirDrop, for those people who don't know, is a very handy tool that Apple products use where you can just send something wirelessly without having to have a shared internet connection. It's made it super helpful for me. I don't have an iPhone, and it's one of the bane of my existence because AirDrop is super helpful, but luckily I have an iPad and a MacBook. And we have the video. Great. I killed just enough time. And it's as easy as dragging and dropping. Boom. Great. So now what we have is two videos. One of you guys and one of me. If I try to play this right now, as we can look at the top right here, it would be here. Let me just play a part of it. We'll see how good it is. And then over here on my computer, I'm going to go ahead and set up an app called Photo Booth. I don't even know what's happening. So what we're going to do to make our lives a bit easier is we're going to start by syncing these videos. The reason I had Sam clap earlier is because now I can easily locate where she clapped and compile these videos. So if we look over here, so I think I'm realizing what happened. I think the audio was recorded from my Bluetooth pedal. Or maybe, no, let's see. I think it was just muffled, which is fine. That's crazy. That's okay. We're just gonna use the audio of the MacBook doing this. This is cool. This has never happened to me in practice, which is awesome. Beautiful. That's what we needed. Cool. So now we have that. We're going to go ahead and cut that and get this out of here. And we're going to figure out what's going on over here. And then over here on my computer, I'm going to go ahead and set up an app called Photo Booth. It just allows me to take a video. I'm going to use this to record myself. Beautiful. Okay. Now we kind of know what's going on. We're all going to yell, "We love music." Is everyone ready? Luckily, I had Samantha stand up, which was kind of a last-minute decision, but I'm glad I made that decision because now we can scrub through the video file here and find the moment that Samantha stood, and then line up the video of her clapping with our audio. Oh, everyone see that? Here she is. Here she is, just in case you missed it. Bam! There we go. Beautiful. So we're going to go ahead and cut that out. And we're going to drag our video over here. Zoom in right here. And now our videos are synced up. The audio of the iPad is probably unusable, but that's okay because we have the audio from the MacBook. So let's go ahead and see what it at least sounds like. What we're going to go ahead and do is, I'm going to count to 3, and on 3, we're all going to yell, "We love music." Is everyone ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. We love music. Now we made this far. Part of the issue. Okay, I think I figured out what happened, everybody. The iPad slowed down the video, which is okay. That's great. I was wondering why it sounded that way. That makes so much more sense now. Awesome. One moment. Let's see if this, dude, this is cool. This is actually great for my presentation because now we can see if I can successfully troubleshoot an issue live. You guys get to all be here for the process. Interesting. Cool. So here's the cool thing about like smartphones and smart products, specifically Apple. They actually have a slow-mo feature on their phone, on their product. So now that I go back to the camera, I can actually see that I recorded in slow-mo. Isn't that awesome? Oh, that rocks. Okay, cool. We're gonna do the same thing. How funny. All right. Everyone rewind. Okay. All right. So imagine showing up to a technology project and the person is technologically illiterate. Okay. How funny. All right. Now that we're here again, we all know the rules. Samantha, stand up and clap. All right, on the count of 3, we're all going to yell, "We love music." 1, 2, 3. We love music! See, that time it felt real. I think the first time, so now we're 2 take Tonys. And that's not my fault. I, as a director, I had a vision, and I wanted you guys to kind of just give a bit more oomph. I was wondering why it took so long to send my laptop. That's never happened. The video's like 20 minutes long. Oh man, that's funny. I don't care if you are, that's funny. Cool, we're gonna go ahead and delete these from the timeline. We're gonna delete these and pretend they never existed. And it's as easy as dragging and dropping our videos. How funny. All right. And it was now the first try, we all know which is the cool part. Here we go. Here's a video of me speaking, and here's the video of you all, and this is the first videos that ever existed of these, which is the cool part. Now, if we solo this track, we shouldn't hear like the wash of the broom. All right, so beautiful. All right, I presume this right here is Sam Packer. Great. Wow, look how good it works when you do things right. That's very funny. And that's not my fault. I as a director. I don't really know what's going on there. Surely I wasn't putting the blame on you guys. That would be, I feel like that would be irresponsible. Great, beautiful. You guys see how fast this would have been? We know where both our claps are. We can go ahead and just line these up now. And as you can see, these 2 audio clips, these green clips, what I'm doing is I'm lining up this with this right here. Those are both where Sam clapped. This is awesome. I love when it works. Great. All right. So now if I play the video here, all right, on the count of 3, we're all going to yell, "We love music." We love music! It's all lined up. But now we have an issue where the video of you guys is above the video of me, creating a very interesting effect. I don't love it, so we're going to change it. What we're going to do is we're going to take the video of you, and I'm going to go ahead and click this button. What this allows me to do is just move you guys over here to the right side of the screen. So here you are. And what we're going to do with me is we're going to do the same thing, and we're just going to move me right here. And it's beautiful. All right, let's go ahead and let's give our video a look. Okay. Other than this little issue right here. Beautiful. All right, is everyone ready to see our masterpiece that we all equally worked on and made mistakes on together? We love music. Samantha wasn't even looking at the screen. Did everyone see that? All right, everyone watching it. What was she doing? Everyone? Okay, everyone watch Samantha right there. 3. We love music. Good job. Good job. Now we have to do the whole thing again. No. And now we're all content creators. It's that easy. Pretend that it worked the We're all content creators now, by the way. After working on this project, I was able to reflect on some things that I wish had gone better. And I was able to frame these as tips that can be used in a broader sense for anyone else. I have a new one, by the way, that I'm going to have to add to this. Don't record in slow-mo. First, I found that there is a lot you can do with camera placement. For example, in my video, I wish that I had used a higher angle for the speaking camera. Because it is low, it feels a bit like I'm talking down to the viewer, and now I'm aware that a higher angle would provide a more inviting and warm experience for the video. Next is the importance of understanding what the main focus of a frame should be and how it should be presented. Let's take the video clips of me playing the vibraphone, for example. The main focus in those frames are the vibraphone, and one issue I found is that the vibraphone tends to shake when I push the pedal down. I could have found a fix for this if I did more checking of the video before doing the full recordings. Moving on, I would love to incorporate more visual examples of concepts I'm speaking on. For example, when talking about specific chords, I could show it on the screen in notation, as well as highlight it on the instrument. This would make it more sufficient for visual learners and oral learners alike. I believe having visual aids is important in any video and can help with retention as well as accessibility. And finally, you can definitely save yourself some trouble by thinking ahead throughout the entire process. One part of the process I wish I was thinking ahead on more was the space I gave myself before and after speaking. Because I didn't let the sound settle completely, some of my edits felt more jagged and unnatural than I would have liked. Now that I understand that, in the future I will be able to think ahead and avoid that issue. Okay, while I am extremely lucky to have the equipment that I do, this can all be achieved for a much cheaper price margin, and if you are a current or future educator, you can make this happen right now. First, you can use your phone to record all the video and audio. The microphones and extra camera is nice, but they're not necessary at all. Even with a smartphone, you can get everything you need done and for much cheaper. Next, you can use cheaper software. I use Sibelius to create music notation, but a free alternative is MuseSchool, which for free is a very powerful program that can also be used on your phone. You can also find very cheap editing softwares like DaVinci Resolve, or just use the built-in video editors on your phone. One quality of life improvement that I recommend is buying a used laptop at the very least, as it makes workflow a bit more manageable, but it's not necessary. The more you produce, the easier it will get, and over time you can upgrade parts of the process and the product to make it more professional. Not only thinking ahead for the video is important, but thinking ahead and having plans for the future of your project is important as well. Creating a sort of roadmap for you to follow. Here are some examples that I have on my roadmap for this channel. I think collaborating and building up an online faculty would be beneficial and more akin to a true music studio. One friend of mine is already interested in creating jazz piano videos, which I couldn't do. To further this point, it would be great to offer online Zoom lessons with the different members of the studio that can be paid for to give a more one-on-one lesson experience. And finally, I hope to create a website that houses all our PDFs and gives parents and teachers an opportunity to contact us if they are interested in utilizing our tools in other ways. So what will you do? If you have ever had an inkling of wanting to create content, then you should do it. If this presentation makes you feel like you have something for the world, then you should make it. You can make music lessons like me, or you can make music videos like I showed earlier. Maybe you're inclined to make videos talking about pop music and what's trending. The options are endless, and creating content like this is a multi-skilled process that every musician should hone. In our last few moments here, I would love to open the floor to some questions, so if there's anything on your mind, feel free to ask. Dr. Beinlich.
I wanted to know if it was difficult to learn how to line up the different audio clips, or if that's something that seems to be straightforward for early creators.
Yeah, so her question is, was it difficult to learn how to Yeah, I think that was a learning process thing for me. Personally, I've been making YouTube videos recreationally for years, but I remember very early on, I struggled remembering to do the clap or remembering to figure out a way to sync it up, which makes it much more difficult in post. That's one of those things where I just had to look up, and it seems very simple, the clapping, but it's something I didn't think about, and it's something I had to look up how to make this like easier for me, and now I just use the clap all the time. It makes it super simple because you can just line up the audio. As long as you don't record in slow-mo, you'll be fine. But that's one of those things that you just learn by doing it, as is most things. And you'll figure it out pretty quickly because after your first video, you'll be like, you'll spend an hour trying to sync up the video and audio and it'll make you lose your mind. And then you'll never make that mistake again. Any other questions? It can be about anything. Jalen.
I just wanted to ask, like, in your videos, do you use like more subs for like extra lighting or anything, or do you just use like regular light? Because I know like in some camera angles, or at least like in some cameras, like it's not gonna show like the actual light. So like, I mean, it is bright on stage, but like on the video, probably might not be.
Yeah, great question again. The way different cameras record lighting can be kind of finicky, and what you might think is great lighting isn't going to show up on cameras. In that video, I had actually no external lighting, and that's another thing that I would do in the future. I use a ring light that I bought off of Amazon. It's very cheap, and I recommend always using external lighting in some way or another because you're never going to be happy with the room lighting. More light is better, usually, and different types of lights can provide different types of experiences. Like the ring light I use, and you can find very cheap online, has more natural lighting as well as like very bright white lighting. So while in that video I didn't use lighting, in some videos I do. Like the one of me playing guitar, I did use that ring light. Lucas.
Yeah, is there anything that you like learned while using Adobe Premiere and DaVinci Resolve that you wish you had learned earlier in that process?
Yeah, so one thing that I used to do and that I kind of talked a little bit about in this presentation is doing some editing outside of the final project to make the final project a bit smoother. So we talked about me creating the videos for the vibraphone playing and how that originally was 5 different clips. Before, I would have just had all 5 of those clips stacked into the final timeline, and it looks messy, and you can make tiny errors that mess up the entire project just because there's clutter. Just like in real life, a cluttered workspace is going to make your life a lot harder. So over the time of using these editing tools, I found that the more I can do externally to bring in a smaller set of media is extremely beneficial. And it just, the final workflow, the final space is just so much less cluttered, and you have such an easier time understanding and digesting it. So that's one thing, is do as much editing outside of your final project as you can. Any other questions? Mackenzie.
So I have a problem with like being able to record yourself. Was there anything that helped you get over like being able to record yourself and then go into editing? Like trying to get over like the anxiety?
Yeah, the kind of like insecurity of being on a camera. Yeah, I mean, and I still struggle with it. I'm a bigger dude, and the microphone clip kind of tugs, so you can kind of, I'm not even going to talk about it, but we can all see it. And that's an insecurity that I have. Part of it is you just kind of got to do it and understand that there's always going to be someone who's going to see something, and there's always going to be someone out there who sees something, but you're going to be your number one judge. Like, you're going to be the hardest on yourself. And so if you can beat that out of you, then it's going to be easy from there on. Part of it is that I've uploaded, there's many videos of me online. So part of it is I just have done it for a long time, and from a young age, so that like it kind of like I kind of raised myself into it. I think one of the biggest things I can tell you is that you will be your number one. I can't find the word that I'm using, but you're going to be your number one enemy in that regard. It's all a mental game, and no one's going to care as much as you do. So So you have to find things, and there's different things you can do. We talked about lighting. Lighting can do a lot. Camera angle can do a lot. Part of the higher camera angle that I talked about, I think it would be more flattering to me as well as more inviting to the viewer. So little things like that that you can just work with over time. There's also no reason that you have to be on camera. There's plenty of people who have cartoon or like personas that represent them on the screen that are animated or even just still cuts, so they don't have to appear on camera. That takes a bit more editing and a bit more like designing, but there's no reason you have to be on the camera. And that's one, if you're interested in this kind of thing, that's one thing I could recommend. Any other questions? Dr. Salgado.
If I'm someone who's wanting to upgrade either my camera or my audio side of things, my mics, my interface, which one would you upgrade first and why?
So that's a really interesting point. Thank you. Personally, and I think this is a preference thing at the end of the day, I would say personally always go for an audio upgrade. And the reason for that is because this can be digested with video and audio, or it can be digested with just audio. You can also digest it with just video and with captions, but more than likely, you're going to be listening to it more than you're going to be watching it. So if you're a new viewer, we are more likely, psychologically, to click off of the video if the audio is bad than if the video is bad. We can tend to handle 720p. To get into that, it's just lower quality. We're able to handle lower quality video a lot easier than we're able to handle low quality audio. If you watch videos that are taken poorly, sometimes you can hear noise, or you can hear buzzing, or you can hear like shifty white noise, and that's an immediately turn off from anyone from a video. So I'd say audio is probably the most important thing in that regards, as well as the price for upgrading audio is a lot cheaper than the price for upgrading camera. In my opinion, I think you can get a pretty high quality USB microphone nowadays for a lot cheaper than you can get a high quality camera. So I would go ahead and upgrade audio first and foremost, and make sure your audio quality is good. Because if it sounds like that video I took earlier, the slow-mo, like no one would watch that, you know? So yeah. Any other questions? Anything? I'm happy to talk. I love hearing my own voice. Okay, Jay Lord again.
Cool. I just have a question.
Okay, cool.
So, just going back to the audio. So, I guess I know you have like a bunch of like equipment and stuff, and a bunch of like microphones and all that. How do you know which ones to use in a certain situation for a video?
Yeah, great. That's just research, and I'm not perfect at it. Like part of it is understanding like my iPad wouldn't have worked for the vibraphone video that I wanted. I could have made it work, but it would have been a lot more of a struggle because with the equipment I had, it was much easier to hang my camera upside down off of a mic stand rather than trying to, I don't know, like duct tape this to the ceiling. Like, there's options there, of course. I could have done that and that would have worked, but because it made my life easier, I used the other camera. I used this for my speaking points because I could easily plug in that Bluetooth microphone. I could make it go into this, which helps me in post. What we talked about earlier with Lucas's question, that just cut one of the parts of editing out for me, making it easier for me in the future. So part of it is making it as easy for you in the editing process, and part of it is just what is easy to do with the technology you have. And part of that is, like that probably means nothing to a lot of you, but that means something to me because I've researched it. By research, I've taken classes here. So part of that is just doing your own research and figuring out what works with what. Cool. Kevin.
Do you storyboard any of your stuff before you start recording?
Say that one more time.
Do you storyboard any of your things before you start recording?
Yeah, so while for this video I didn't do like a full storyboard, I knew the layout of, I wanted it to be an intro and then first inversion playing, root position playing, and then I wanted to talk about first inversion, then first inversion playing, and part of that is written in my video, and then within that I write insert video of this, insert video of this, insert video of this. So that is kind of a storyboard in a sense. It's a timeline, just in a different format. I think that's important, especially if you're not doing like improvised content or something like that. I even wish I did a bit more storyboarding. I think the video would have came out cleaner. I think it's an important process. So yes, I kind of do, but I want to be able to dig into that more. Yep. Well, wonderful. Any other question? I got 1 minute ish. Cool. Well, thank you all for coming out. I really appreciate it. Yeah, thank you all for coming out. I hope you learned something. I'd love to talk about this more with anyone. If you want to see old videos of me from when I was like a middle schooler on YouTube, come talk to me, because I have videos from like my whole timeline of life. Thank you all for being here. If you're interested in being a YouTuber, do it. All right, thank you. Oh wait, one more thing real quick. There's a concert happening in this room in 1 hour. It's the American Music Recital that Phi Mu Alpha Theta Phi is putting on. If you're interested in hearing that, we'd love to have some of you return and listen.